The case of Polly Bodine, accused of the 1843 Christmas murders, is not merely a record of crime and capital prosecution, but an origin story for America's addiction to sensationalized reporting and the ensuing judicial battle to protect the Sixth Amendment right to an impartial jury. Before the high-profile media scrutiny applied to figures such as Lizzie Borden, Amanda Knox, and Casey Anthony, Polly Bodine stood as the first American woman put on trial for capital murder in the nation's inaugural media circus. Let's take a closer look at this landmark case from 1843. The murders occurred on Christmas night, December 25, 1843, in a locale then characterized as a serene village on Staten Island. Neighbors discovered the remains of the 24-year-old mother, Emmeline Houseman, and her infant daughter, Eliza. The victims had first been bludgeoned to death inside their home before the perpetrator set the residence ablaze, using what the media described as hellfire to destroy evidence of the crime. The charred remains confirmed the brutality of the double homicide and arson. The initial formation of public opinion was therefore highly susceptible to local personal biases, a critical factor considering the crime took place across the street from the Bodine family home. Mary, or Polly, Bodine was the sister-in-law of the victim, Emmeline Houseman. Polly was quickly characterized by the press and the prosecution as a suspicious and morally deficient figure, or a fallen woman per se. Her lifestyle defied the restrictive social norms of the 1840s, providing a foundation for her public vilification. She was a separated wife, having left her husband, Andrew Bodine, who was known to be an abusive alcoholic and was eventually charged with bigamy. Polly was residing with her parents in Graniteville while engaged in an ongoing affair with George Waite, a Manhattan apothecary, and was visibly pregnant with his child when the murders occurred. The penny press leveraged these details to craft a powerful villain archetype, noting that she, quote, drinks gin, commits adultery, and has had multiple abortions, end quote. This deliberate detailing of her moral failings was not mere background information, but served as the principal rhetorical instrument employed by the prosecution and sensationalist reporters. For a society rigidly adhering to Victorian gender roles, a woman who violated domestic sanctity was already morally condemned. By linking her social nonconformity to the monstrous act of capital murder, the narrative established her guilt based purely on character, bypassing the need for rigorous physical evidence. This created a profound challenge for her legal dream team. The specific nature of the crime, the alleged murder of her sister-in-law and infant niece, was amplified by the press, twisting her role as a family outcast into that of an unnatural monster, thereby fulfilling the public's need for a justification as to why an immoral woman would commit such a horrible act. The timing of the crime was immediately exploited by the media due to its juxtaposition with the Christmas holiday, framing the subsequent discovery as a perverse nativity. The prosecution, under an ambitious district attorney, advanced a clear motive, readily amplified by the penny press: robbery. Polly Bodine was accused of stealing jewelry, silverware, and other valuables before initiating the fire. This financial motive was consistently pushed by the newspapers, which claimed the victims had been sacrificed to Mammon by the hands of a woman, a sister. A central, albeit circumstantial, piece of evidence was testimony from witnesses who claimed to have observed Polly hawking items identified as Emmeline's belongings at a pawn shop. The prosecution faced challenges with the integrity of this testimony, as later court proceedings included what the press described as ridiculously anti-Semitic courtroom theatrics directed at the Jewish pawnbroker witnesses. This suggests that societal prejudices were manipulated to either validate or discredit crucial circumstantial evidence, diverting attention from the objective facts of the transaction. The theory linking the theft and the subsequent arson was structurally vital to the prosecution's narrative. Since the fire had eliminated much of the potential forensic evidence, the state was forced to rely on circumstantial links. Scrutiny intensified when her alibi failed to hold up. On Christmas night, Polly abruptly departed from her paramour, George Waite, and her son, who worked as Waite's apprentice, claiming she was going to visit an acquaintance named Elizabeth Strang, however, later testified that she had not seen Polly in 6 months and that Polly never appeared at her home that night, severely weakening the defense's ability to account for her whereabouts during the crucial hours. After the murders, Polly Bodine was swiftly branded by the press as the Witch of Staten Island. This nickname wasn't just a reflection of public suspicion. It was a calculated media invention designed to stoke fear, sell papers, and vilify a woman who defied Victorian expectations. Polly Bodine's first trial took place in Staten Island in June 1844. Fueled by the emerging penny press, the proceedings were a media circus. Bodine's character was dissected more than the evidence, and the trial ended in a hung jury. Her second trial, held in Manhattan, was equally dramatic. Despite the lack of direct evidence, the prosecution leaned heavily on circumstantial details and moral judgment. Again, the jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict. The third and final trial occurred in Newburgh in April 1846. By then, Bodine's defense team had sharpened their strategy, and the public had grown weary of the spectacle. This time, the jury acquitted her, citing insufficient evidence. Yet the verdict did little to quell public debate. Some saw her as a victim of misogyny and media exploitation. Others believed she had escaped justice due to clever lawyering and societal bias. Polly Bodine's trials were more than a legal battle. They were a cultural flashpoint. Covered by literary giants like Edgar Allan Poe and Walt Whitman, and exploited by showman P.T. Barnum, who exhibited a wax figure of Bodine, depicting her as a witch-like hag at his American Museum, a location strategically situated only steps from the courtroom. Her case blurred the lines between justice and entertainment. It inspired James Fenimore Cooper's final novel and marked the birth of America's tabloid obsession. In the end, Bodine walked free, but her legacy as the Witch of Staten Island endures, a cautionary tale of media frenzy, gender politics, and the perilous power of public opinion.